Hi, everyone. Welcome back to the Soccer Queens podcast, where we discuss everything female athlete performance training. Today, I got another repeat guest. Sean is an amazing performance coach all the way out in Israel, and we align with a lot of the same training and recovery methods. So, this is going to be a super interesting conversation. We're going to talk everything recovery and some misconceptions around it and some habits athletes can get into to really optimize their recovery. So, Sean, you've been on the show before, but just remind everyone what you do out in Israel.
So first off, it's a privilege to be on the show again. So happy that we've stayed connected throughout the years, keep on sharing our philosophies and growing together. I'm a strength and performance coach. I run a small facility here in Jerusalem. I'm currently working with Team Israel in national flag football, specifically the women's team. Next year we got the Euros, and our end goal is to bring them to the Olympics in 2028. I also work athletes privately, online programs, etc., etc.
Love it. So, working with super high level athletes, beginner athletes as well, general population too. So, yeah, you have such a wide range of experience. And the first thing I noticed about both of us right now is you're standing and I'm sitting on the floor. So we are doing recovery right now, basically. So you're working on not having tight hips, me as well, sitting on the floor, standing, really great for that. I prefer not to sit in a chair. And I know a lot of people listening to this are sitting in chairs right now. So I just find it so
Better stand
interesting.
up.
And you're someone you truly practice what you preach. And let's just start things off with just some misconceptions around recovery. And I'm sure you've gotten these questions from your athletes before. I'm sore or I'm in pain. Can you give me a quick thing to like fix it right now? And it's like, I don't really have a secret answer to solve the problem right now. It's really just the habits you do every single day. So would you agree with that? If that is that something you usually say to your athletes? I know you're not about quick fixes here.
So that's a great question. So here's what you don't see. Like I'm not only standing, but I also have like a little slant board going on. So I'm getting some passive calf stretching going on. Like what you do in the 23 hours or 22 hours when you're not training or when you're not on the field or not on the court or not on the pitch or not in the gym is what matters, because there's only so much massage work and recovery I can do. It's really about those hours where I'm not really actively recovering. It's where I'm passively recovering, which is kind of what me and Erica just touched upon. I think that our athletes a lot of times in the field look at us in the role of like a physical therapist. So or a doctor. So they'll be like, hey, my wrist hurts. What can I do? And as you said, there's no clear-cut chocolate answer. It could be that the wrist hurts because they just spent 2 hours typing yesterday. It could be the wrist hurts from holding their fork the wrong way. It's not always a specific quick fix. Here, release it, and now you can go back to your sport. I think that kind of answers your question.
Yeah, it does. And some athletes will ask, well, I'm sore. Can I go recover by getting a massage, or can I foam roll, or can I do X, Y, and Z stretches? And it's like, yeah, like if that makes you feel better, I'm not going to say no. But just realize it's not the foundation of your recovery. It's the icing on the cake. It's not the cake. So do you agree with like foam rolling and massage, or do you have a different philosophy on those types of like passive treatments for recovery?
Wow. Okay, so we're gonna dive in here. So
We're
first of
diving
all,
in.
we're diving in. Like I'm ready to roll. Mic's on. Let's do this. So first of all, fascinating concept about recovery. If something makes my athlete or our athletes feel good, please do it. Now, if that's going to be cupping, dry needling, foam rolling, compression, cold, heat, sun, beach, playing with your loved ones, magnets, cryo chamber, taking BCAs, do it. If it makes you feel better, you're going to recover. That's just the placebo effect. If we really dive into the science of it, there are certain things that are going to give you bigger bangs for your buck and certain things that are going to give you less bangs for your buck. So I like tying recovery into a workout budget. So let's take, a D1 soccer player or a D1 flag football player. High performance, he probably has enough time and budgeting not meaning money, but time budgeting, to do something every day. So 60 to 70% of her training, let's say in an off season, is going to be strength and power training, because that's what's going to give her the biggest bang for their buck. On their days when they're not training, I need them to do active recovery. I'll program recovery in. Now, that active recovery also should be biggest bang for my buck recovery. So I'm not just going to have them do passive vanilla stretching. For those who love vanilla, forgive me. I'm going to use the terms chocolate and vanilla a lot in this episode. Chocolate is like specific for their needs, specific to what they want, specific to their goals. Vanilla is like, I'm just going to stretch because someone told me it's good to stretch. You know what I mean? The best example is in my tackle football group, the WhatsApp group. So they're always like, guys, it's game day. Don't forget to get your stretches in and don't forget to hydrate. What are you saying? First of all, who says you need to hydrate up before a football game? What if I just drink water when I'm thirsty? First of all. Second of all, why is stretching going to help me perform better? Who says it will perform better? Who says stretching helps after? So like everything has to be done with intent and purpose and understanding what my goal is in this specific recovery tool. So before we dive in, I wrote down like a bunch of different like cool, like maybe higher end for higher performance athletes recovery tools that they can use. But I think that the three pillars, and maybe we can dispel some myths, would be food, right? Nutrition, water, and sleep. But I'm going to break them down a little. So first of all, food. Real, yummy, delicious, nutritious food. And the reason why this came into my head is because this morning, I work with the military a lot, especially a pre-military academy. And they were suggesting that because the training sessions are late at night, they don't have proper food to eat before they go to bed. So we were coming up with like a bunch of scenarios, and one of them, Sean, why don't we give them all protein powder? I said, no, give them all meat sandwiches. Like, why should we be right away resorting? We're not in the army yet, where we're in this environment where we actually are unable to physically eat food. They can still sleep well and still eat well. So why don't we give them real, tangible food? So food is always going to outbeat supplements, even if you're taking protein powder and creatine and B12 and bone broth, and that's fine, and I suggest that. And if you think that it helps you and if you need it, please keep on taking those supplements. But real nutritious food will always give you the biggest bang for your buck. And the highest level of athletes that I work with, they bring containers of food to the field, and when practice is over, they whip out their whatever, chicken and rice, or if they're vegan, they're tofu and black beans, and if they're gluten-free, whatever. You know, everyone has their own dietary preferences these days. But if you're not eating real food, you're missing out. And if I get to pick between a athletic lean protein bar versus a shawarma or a gyro, as they would call it probably in Florida, I would pick the shawarma anytime, because I'm eating real tangible meat from a cow. And if you're vegan, hope it doesn't offend you, you can have tofu. It doesn't matter, but you have to eat physical food. Would you agree with that about food?
100%. I mean, that's the first thing I suggest for proper recovery and making sure that your muscles feel good and you're ready to compete the next day. But also you have the energy and the focus. I mean, the food we eat impacts our brain, it impacts our mood, and our brains need to recover in order to play our sport. We're making decisions, thousands of decisions during competition. So yeah, food's the number one I recommend for recovery. And I find it interesting that in your group chat with your guys, they said, well, you need to hydrate on game day. And it's like, why on just game day? And a lot of these athletes are just thinking about game day nutrition, or I need a carb load the day before the game. And it's like, wait, what about the other 6 days of the week? You should be doing like, it's like a pre-covery, you know? You should always be eating healthy whole foods. And I'd argue that the days you have off from game are more important with what you put into your body, getting enough protein, getting enough carbohydrates, getting healthy fats for that brain health and brain function, and joint health as well. And yeah, I think that's like one of the biggest things. Like athletes think like recovery is just one day of the week. Oh, it's after competition or it's right before. And that's like the biggest thing. And it's truly the decisions you make with your meals and your sleep every single day. It's not a quick, oh, well, I'm just going to foam roll for 2 minutes and I'll feel better. No, it's not that. Like, I'm sorry, we don't have a secret answer. Like, it's nothing sexy. You just need to do better every day of the week.
It's 7 days a week. It's
Mhm.
365 days in the year. And even if
Mhm.
you're going into like a planned off season with no curriculum, which by the way, I believe is on the strength coach. Like when you're throwing athletes into a complete off season, I'm not talking about like a week after the championship where you're just saying, hey guys, go traveling, take it easy. I'm talking about an off season where there's no structured practices. Give them something, give them a
Mhm.
curriculum, because if there's no curriculum, they're coming back at a readiness state of zero.
Mhm.
So give them something and inspire your athletes, empower your athletes, showing them what the life, like the way you live your lifestyle, and you're able to share on your Instagram. Your athletes are following you and they're, hey, Erica's getting out every day and she's getting in the sunshine and she's going to
Mhm.
the beach and she's spending time with her loved ones and her family. These are important attributes as role models that we have to share.
That Sean, let
Yeah.
me interrupt there. That's so important. It's the coach who needs to lead by example because these kids are following us. I do it, for my own health, obviously, but if I can inspire and lead by example, and if you can too, that's really great. But yesterday I was kind of disappointed because actually, let me grab this real quick. Hold on. So um, what what I've been doing recently, I've been putting the behavior change in front of my athletes. So this is just chocolate milk. It's a lactose free. It's kind of like a protein shake. It's really great, easy on the stomach. I love it. This is not an advertisement for Fairlife, but it is amazing. So I've just been putting the behavior change in front of the athletes like, hey, we're going to have a cup of chocolate milk just so you know the importance of getting in protein right after the workout, and just like showing them the way because truthfully, a lot of them are not getting that at home. And yesterday I had a middle school girl and I told the dad, I was like, hey, she like really loved this chocolate milk. She's learning the importance of getting protein back in so her muscles start to recover. And the dad like makes a snarky comment and goes, oh, has she talked to you about her diet yet and what she eats? And I said, that's your fault. Like, you are literally insulting your daughter, but she's a middle schooler and you're the one who's feeding her. Like I just thought that was just so it was so awful and uncomfortable, and you could tell the girl like just like frowned, and I'm like, it's not a middle schooler's fault for having a bad nutrition plan. It's like, who's buying the groceries for the house? Like, she doesn't own a credit card. She's 12 years old. So I just was like heartbroken. And I'm just like, you know what? Like, as coaches, we have to realize like this stuff is going on at home. So if we can like lead the way and help them instead of like lecture them about it, like they're gonna eventually catch on and make that change. But for the parents listening, like don't ever say that. Like you're the one who's in charge of her recovery nutrition.
Well, that's harsh. Like
Yeah.
I have my if I may say these kind of things on your podcast, I have zero patience for stupid parents. If you're
Mm-hmm.
gonna be saying something stupid to me in front of your kid, I'm not gonna retort in front of your kid because that would be disrespectful. But I'm gonna take you on the side and talk to you. But a
Mm-hmm.
parent is not allowed to say stuff like that in front of their child, in front of me, and especially dealing with like younger kids who are very impressionable, especially females, but it's equally in the male world. You're
Mm-hmm.
setting up your kid for an eating disorder. When you
Yeah.
tell your kid, oh, you're eating this, you're eating that, you're bad, blah, 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 blah. You're warping your kid's point of view. And like, unfortunately,
Mm-hmm.
both me and you know how prevalent eating disorders are in the athletic world, where body image is a thing and performance is a thing. You can't make comments like that. You can't, you shouldn't, a parent should not be demoralizing or poking fun or criticizing their kid's
Mm-hmm.
diet. If anything, they should be encouraging and supportive and helpful. And I've seen parents, and this happened recently to me, where they're trying to make their kid rectify their mistakes. They're like, well, I was overweight when I was a kid, so I want to make sure that my kids start counting calories. Why is your 12 sorry, I'm shouting. Why is your 12-year-old kid counting calories? No, this literally happened to me a month ago. A dad's like, yeah, my kid's a baseball player, but like he's a little bit heavy and blah, blah, blah. I'm like, you're making your kid count calories? Are you kidding me? Have your kid play sports. Have your kid move and frolic in the sunshine and eat yummy meals and put the phone away at mealtime and
Mm-hmm.
stop trying to put on yourself. And then the dad was like so taken back that a professional told him something. He was like, oh, but sometimes we gotta do that, especially working with youth athletes.
Yeah, we
One
got to
thing I
be
did want to
really
add,
careful with our words because,
Mhm.
yeah, it could amount into a terrible relationship with food and then with the female athletes, the body image, and then they're cutting and restricting and obsessed with their calories. It's so sad. And I think parents just need to lead by example. And it, like, we've talked about this, we've talked about the importance of bringing back like home cooked family at the table dinners. And not only is that good to like know what you're putting into your food and like controlling the healthy foods you put into your body, but that relationships aspect, that connection, that leisure time, that's also 100% a part of recovery. Do you want to dive into that real quick and then we'll move on?
Yeah, I really I was gonna that was on my list, like prayer, spirituality, family time. This is in the list of recovery. It's one of the hacks. Before we move
Mhm.
on, I just want to say something so I don't forget it. I think this was mentioned in the podcast before, but the best example of when it comes to like food and health and understanding is that the strength and conditioning coach of the national soccer team here in Israel was telling me how he walked into the lunchroom of his soccer players the few hours right before their big game, like their championship game for Israel. Like this is like the biggest game Israel will have, and they're all eating like cucumbers. And he's like, "Why are you eating cucumbers?" Like, because it's healthy. And this is guys. This is like fully grown 22-year-old men who are at their peak of athleticism. So, parents, coaches, just first get a basic understanding of yourself. So then you can be a role model to your kid. If you're sending over warped messages or not understanding the science, or at least understanding what healthy and eating a nutritious, fueled, intentful food is, then like you're not really assisting your kid.
Mhm. It's yeah, it's so important, and it's nutrition doesn't have to be this complicated thing. I think like you would need to hire someone if you like need help with the specific amounts for your needs, especially with like growing female athletes or even like high level college pro. Like those are cases where you might need to hire someone, but I always say to my girls like just learn what the macronutrients do first and make sure you get the macros you need before competition, before training, and then after competition and after training, and understanding what a protein is, what a carbohydrate is, what healthy fats are, and what foods you should eat to meet those macro requirements. That's the best way to start. Are there any other like easy tips you give athletes who are kind of new to fueling properly?
Yes. So first off, just for coaches listening, if there's no nutritionist on your sports team, that rolls on you. It may not be
Mm,
in your job description, but the performance coach has to be in charge of nutrition because the head coach has a lot more stuff to worry about. So what we started doing is we give a PowerPoint presentation before the season starts. Just this is what protein is. This is what carbs are. This is what fats are. This is what micronutrients are. Girls who are vegan, we have three of them. You're missing B12, taurine, creatine, omega 3s,
mm,
iodine, I'm pronouncing it wrong.
mhm,
You have to get it somehow. It's not going to magically appear in your diet. So even if you're getting enough protein, you're not optimizing your performance. And the second the girls are aware of that and they know like, oh, I'm not eating enough protein, or oh, I'm not getting enough amino acids, or whatever it is, it's something that could be brought up. It shouldn't be brought up like the day before the game. Wow, why are you getting injured so much?
mhm,
Little protein tips. Honestly, I'm not going to dive so much into the nutrition realm of it. I'm going to bounce back off of what you said a minute ago about having intent behind your meals. So when you're eating, put your phone away. So first of all, you can actually know when you're full and when you're not, and know when to stop eating. Be
mhm,
with family, be with loved ones. Turn a meal into like a Sabbath dinner. Just turn it into this time of prayer and purpose and singing, and make it an enjoyable time that's not just about the food. Because if it's just about the food, you're just
mhm,
nourishing your body. And if you can make it about the people around you and the intention and the experience of the meal, then it becomes a spiritually and emotionally nourishing thing as well. And you're probably thinking, if listening, what does that do with recovery? It has everything to do with recovery. Because if I'm in like a highly stressed, overachieving mindset, especially as an athlete, a lot of these people are in very like overachiever mode, like two practices a day and a strength session at night and mobility at night, and I'm telling you to do this and this, and then they have a tournament on the weekend, then their parents expect them this and their teachers expect them this, and they're still probably in school trying to get good grades. So taking that little time to de-stretch, relax, nourish your soul is a very, very big tool in being game ready and being recovered as well. Maybe we should have opened the podcast with this, but like, you can only train. This is like the next Fit Soccer Queen post. You can only train as well as high as well as you recover. You can only perform as well as you recover. If you don't, then you're just not going to catch up. You're going to be in a constant state of overtraining. Tying into that purpose, like, I'm Jewish. I was born Jewish. I live in Israel, pretty Jewish country. The concept in Judaism is Friday night, first of all, Friday to Saturday, no phones for 24 hours. So that means you're stuck in this state of with no electricity. Yay. Meaning, sorry, no social media, no computers, no toxic people. Before meals, we have the concept of kind of like grace in Christianity. We say a blessing, like, wow, thank you, God. Thank you, my wife, for making this delicious food. And then after you eat the food, you say a blessing again, like, wow, this food is awesome. So it just adds this layer of intensity, sorry, not intensity, intent, fulfillment, and purpose to every time you eat. And if you're conscious of it, religious or not, you could be an atheist, it doesn't matter. You're adding a layer of depth to your life from eating an apple. And it's pretty powerful tool.
That's not touched on a lot when it comes to recovery, is that spiritual sense of it and that purpose behind what you're doing. And actually, I'm gonna share my screen real quick. So can you see this?
I can. Ooh.
Perfect. So this is these are the 7
pillars
of performance that we've come up with and that I've studied the science on. And if you're not doing these and dialing these in, then you need to figure it out. Like, again, coming back to the beginning of the conversation, your recovery, your injury resiliency, your alleviating of muscle soreness, it's not going to come from just one quick thing you do on a Monday night. It's going to come from going through all these pillars, taking inventory of them. Okay, am I doing my strength training? Am I fueling my body properly? Am I getting quality sleep? Do I have a good mindset? Can I manage stress well? Do I have good relationships? People who help me in all these other categories, people who inspire me. Am I getting leisure time with friends and family and taking a break from obligations and organized sports and social media? Am I on purpose? And being on purpose, it could be your faith, it could be the why behind your sport and just a greater reason than yourself. Nail these down and get back to me. Like if you're complaining of muscle soreness or injuries, I want you to check in with these first. And yes, I told my girls yesterday when we went over these again, I said, yes, I expect you to do all 7. Well, they're like, well, that seems like a lot. And I'm like, well, life is a lot. I mean, when you're done playing your sport, you're still going to have to do all of these to stay healthy, to live a fulfilling life, to have great relationships and to have good purpose. Like, you still need to do all this. So get used to these 7 now. And rant.
That wasn't a rant. That was, no, keep it. Oh man, it's gone. Don't worry. You could send that to me.
Let me put it back up. Do you want to touch on any of these? I know we said.
No, it's okay. It's okay.
Okay.
I already memorized it. But basically the first 3 are speaking about first, perfect. So training, nutrition, and sleep are spoken about all the time. I did open up with nutrition because I think that's just an essential pillar that can't be neglected. But the last 4, in particularly mindset, relationships, leisure, and purpose, are not speaking about. Mindset is always like speaking about, but it's never done. What does mindset even mean, right? It's such a non-tangible topic.
So real quick, with this mindset pillar, the way I explain it to my athletes is it's not trying to force yourself to think positive all the time. It's actually looking at adversity and you making mistakes and overcoming challenges with a very logical mind and trying to take away the lesson and the meaning and just being resilient. It's not, I think positive affirmations have their place and those like woo-woo things, but mindset is, can you deal with challenge and find the meaning behind it? Or can you have the strength to just be like, you know what? Today's just not my day. Like, I'm in a rut. It'll get better. And that's where like the purpose and the faith comes in. But the mindset here is more just like looking at things logically and being like, okay, like I've made it out before. I'll be fine again. I don't need to, I can
Mm,
feel bad. I can have a bad day and it's okay. Like, I'm just going to try to do my best with what I can control and things will get better. So I just wanted to clarify like how I structured the
awesome.
mindset.
I love it. I love it. I also think like my understanding of it would be gratitude. I think that fits nice in it.
Mm-hmm.
And it totally ties into your philosophy because when you're always grateful for the positive things in your life, even if practice didn't go so well, you can be grateful for friendship. You can be grateful for the sun outside. You can be grateful for the fact that, you know what, the soccer skill work didn't go so well, but when I was running, I really felt that I was getting faster, feeling nice and
Mm-hmm.
mobile. So when you focus on the positive things, that's going to just change your mindset. Specific in relationships, leisure, purpose. It's so funny that you're saying this because I knew we shared philosophy from all our podcasts together and from chatting, but I wrote down some conventional stuff like compression, stuff that people don't speak a lot about after researching it. But like leisure, relationships, purpose, people don't speak about this stuff except
Mm-hmm.
you. People don't say like, do you know that if you have a boyfriend or girlfriend who or wife or whatever, or boyfriend, husband, dad, whatever it is these days, I don't care. Um, if they're supportive of you, that's going to improve your performance. If you have a loving
Yes.
relationship and loving friendships, that's going to improve your performance.
Mm.
Purpose ties into exactly when we were speaking about faith. But if you have a strong life purpose, nothing to do with like training and your sport. But if you just like know what you're doing in life and you can sum up your purpose statement in one day, you're going to jump out of the bed every morning and you're going to have a sick workout in the gym and you're going to have an amazing session on the field and you're going to have an amazing session in the game because you're just living life fully with intent. And that has to be
Mm-hmm.
speaking about more because it's probably it's a bolded. It's even more important than everything else. It's just like if you don't have purpose, why are you living? That's my take on it.
So true. And it's like if you don't have purpose, then when things get hard, you're just going to quit. You're going to be like, well, this is not going to work out. And there's nothing worth fighting for. So, purpose is really
Mm-hmm.
like, why are you doing what you're doing? And you're so clear on that, that you enjoy making the sacrifices. You enjoy preparing your meals. You enjoy the discipline of getting to bed early so you get a good night of sleep. You enjoy being clear on who your relationships are and who you're surrounding yourself with. You enjoy doing the extra training you need to get stronger. Everything is going to require sacrifice. Recovery requires sacrifice. I mean, shoot, I know
Time.
so many athletes who get to bed at 1 a.m. and they're not willing to make that sacrifice to get to bed earlier to get a good night of sleep. And I just want you guys to know that like recovery is not going to always be this feel good thing. You have to make some sacrifices. You need to get organized on your routine. And Sean and I are both very strict with our athletes, and we recognize change won't happen overnight. And like these 7 pillars, they're a constant pursuit. You're constantly refining them, but just do your best in these categories and you're going to see incredible results. And Sean, how old are you, if you don't mind me asking?
Happy to say so. I'm in my month of Leo, August, about to turn 27. I'm quite young in the role that I'm in.
So you're
26,
you're in
almost
your late
27.
20s. You still train
Correct.
hard. And are
Yeah,
you
and I
ever
continue to do so.
you do. And I have another question. Are you ever sore? Are you ever like severely injured?
First of all, that's a question that you have to ask like competitive athletes. So I think
Mhm.
that to ask, let's say, a coach such as myself, who I'm training hard and heavy, but I'm not competing at the level that my
Mhm.
athletes are. I obviously play tons of casual sport is different because I don't have that like unexpected injuries
Mhm.
that could happen in the game. But yeah, of course I'm sore, and yeah, of
Mhm.
course injuries happen in training. But because I take care of my body those 365 days of a year, I bounce back in seconds. Not because I'm a magician, but because I broke my collarbone snowboarding. I think we spoke about that. I was
Yep.
doing pull-ups and pressing my body weight 4 weeks later. 4 weeks later, the doctor said I should be in a cast for 6 weeks.
Mm.
We'll speak about not listening to the doctor momentarily. I pulled my groin like a few weeks ago, just some like overtraining a bit. I played ultimate frisbee, then softball, then swam, whatever. Long story short, I was better the next day. I know guys who a groin pull, they're out for the week. If someone rolls their ankle, they're swollen for a month. Like if you take care of your body, I'm not talking about the things you did before the injury or after the injury. If you take care of your body always, and you're
Mm.
always willing to give that extra dedication and time to your body, which it will pay off. It's not a waste of time because not only are you
Mhm.
preventing injury, but you're allowing your body to bounce back super, super fast before these things, when these things happen?
Mm. I love that. It truly is a year-round pursuit, and the more that you practice these daily habits, the less likely an injury is going to be a total bomb to your system. And like Sean said, you'll bounce back a lot quicker. And when you get older, I mean, shoot, soreness is going to happen. Injuries are going to happen, especially if you still train. I mean, you should still train when you're in your late 20s to your 80s, however old you get, you can still strengthen your body, you can strengthen your mind. And that's the power of the human. I mean, we are capable of a lot if we continue to stimulate our body and we nourish it with great food. We continue to hydrate and get good rest. And we just want to be really hopeful in this episode with you guys. It is in your control, but that doesn't mean it's going to be easy. It is hard work to recover.
For the more middle-aged people listening, if they're tuning in, so even if you're not competing in the conventional sport, like you're not playing D1 soccer, or you're not playing tackle football or ultimate frisbee, like very intense, high-impact sports, you're in the sport of life, right? When you're 60 years old, when I'm 60 years old, I want to be able to lift my grandkids over my head, swing on the monkey bars with them, and beat them. I'm very competitive, beat them to the water when we sprint to the beach. So like, if you want to live that life, you still have to take care of your body at that older age. And the more work you put in your body now, especially when we're in the prime youth and we're able to, have accelerated muscle growth and bone growth, and things aren't working against us, this is the time. This is the time to take care of your body, because it'll just be easier to maintain what we built in our 20s and our 30s at the age of 50 and the age of 60. You're in the sport of life. You're in the long game.
You know what I'm just noticing about you right now is just you just have so much energy. You're just vibrant. You're confident. And I do want to touch on confidence while we're here because nice.
It has the gemstone. My wife got it for me for my birthday, early birthday
I
present.
love you guys.
Like the gemstone. Yeah.
But
We'll hang out when we hit
let's touch on confidence, because there's a lot of things out there as far as like confidence in female athletes, and how like that's like the number one thing I get is like, oh, she needs to improve her confidence. And I'm like, look, if you have a healthy lifestyle, you take care of yourself, that confidence is going to shine through. And I don't know, I just see that from you. And I don't really struggle with confidence anymore because of these 7 pillars. So let's talk about that a little bit, because you just seem very like sure of yourself and just bringing off a good energy because you do these daily things.
So, wow. So first of all, I think this conversation comes up a lot with myself, my athletes, with people I work with or meet with. There's a difference between an ego and knowing your self-worth. So I think both me and Erica have in common, especially when we put ourselves out there on Instagram, on Facebook, on YouTube, at different channels, we may come off as a little bit like, I'm so cool, I have my bone broth, you know what I mean? I'm this, I'm that. But it's like, no, I know my worth. I have value to add to the world, and I want to share it with you. So when girls and guys, I know it's the Soccer Queen podcast, but I'm a dude, so I'll represent the male race. When you have this sacred life, when you live your life optimizing your mind, body, and spirit, right? I'm taking care of my body. I'm taking care of my soul. I'm taking care of my emotions. I'm journaling. I'm holding my journal right now. I'm taking care of my friendships. I'm nurturing my relationships. You live, and it all ties back into purpose, by the way. When you live with purpose, of course you'll have confidence. And of course people will be drawn to you, because you're literally, once again, I'm not trying to be this like priest or rabbi here, but I really think that if you live,
I'm like loving it. I'm like on the edge, like right now. I'm like, yes.
I really think that if you live life with purpose, you're fulfilling your potential in this world, and people are attracted to that. It might be your future mate or spouse or whatever. It might be friendships. It might be business partnerships. But when Sean walks into the room, and I'm sure when Erica walks into the room, people are like, I want to be friends with that guy. I want to be friends with that girl, because we're living our life intentfully. We have, every action we take in our life from morning till night is done with purpose and intent, and that's going to carry over to every single thing in our life. So for those girls who are wondering how to like increase my self-confidence, and for those parents who are wondering, I think find yourself a purpose. Now, before we start getting all complicated, I have some homework for these girls listening. So how in the world do I find a purpose? I think it's funny because I want to say this anyways, But I think if you have purpose in life, you'll be more confident. Does that make sense?
Mhm.
So first off, if I'm looking to find purpose in life, and remember, this is not just athletes, but anyone who's depressed, which is very common, or lacking fulfillment in life, or in the middle of a college degree, and they're not sure if this is the career they want, or they're looking to change jobs, or they're playing soccer and they're not sure if it's a sport they like, it all ties back into, am I living my most fulfilling life possible? So first you want to think back, what do you like doing as a kid? So if I really like swimming as a kid, it's very possible that maybe I can take up a career in swimming. If I really like drawing or creating things, maybe I have some sort of career, not necessarily monetized career, but just a hobby in art. The second I'm able to tap into what I did as a kid, before Instagram distracted me, and before life distracted me, and before my parents, teachers, educators, and coaches said I have to do this to be great and make it to the big leagues, I can tap into that childlike natural urge I had. After I know that, what puts me in my zone? So I, as Sean, I like writing, I like creating, I like working with other human beings, I like empowering athletes. So I know, I'm giving an example with myself, I'm a natural leader and instructor. I like instructing people. But if you know what's things that really put you in the zone, if you want to know what the zone is, watch the movie Soul. Soul, is that the movie you know what I'm talking about?
I think it's something like that.
It's a good movie. It's
Yeah.
worth watching, but it speaks about the difference between what makes you happy and what's your zone. Your zone is like, let's say like you love piano or you love music, and as you're playing, you just feel like your soul like lift out of your chest and goes up to heaven. That's your zone. That's like what really, really genuinely makes you happy. And number three, what naturally comes easy to you. So what do you like doing as a kid? What puts you in your zone? And what naturally comes easy to you? If you can find these three and place them together, you should state your purpose statement in one sentence, and then you'll have a purpose. And once you have a purpose, you're gonna walk around the street feeling like $1,000,000 because, like, hey, I know why I'm put in this world.
Mm.
Spiritual concept.
That's so good. And that's something a lot of people don't talk about when it comes to having confidence and being sure of yourself, is having that purpose and recognizing, what am I talented at? And maybe it's not your sport. Maybe it's something else. And that's okay. When I was younger, I was a band nerd. I played clarinet and I was okay at it and I enjoyed it, but I realized, you know what? I'm not going to become elite at this. Soccer is where I'm at. And I think it's important for everyone to get clear on, okay, what am I good at? Because what you're good at, you're going to continue to get passionate about, and it's going to be your purpose in life. So I love that you mentioned that, because when we talk about confidence, we don't hear that a lot. We don't hear, what is my why, or you need to figure out like how you're going to serve the world and what you're good at and what you can share. So that was super important. Now, if you don't mind, can we just quickly touch on sleep as a part of recovery?
Yes,
Okay, so
yes.
let's dive
So
into sleep. Why is that important?
let's do it. So first of all, the three pillars, we like totally tangented, but it all ties into our mission in the world to empower people. So all's good. My three pillars were real food, sleep, and daily maintenance, meaning like daily movement. So food we kind of spoke about. Sleep is important, but instead of diving into like, oh, you got to sleep 7, 8, 9 hours a night. In fact, last week I did a quote post of, if you're not sleeping enough every night, stop foam rolling. Just sleep more. Like sleep is the most important tool. Putting it simply in one sentence, sleep is your body's most powerful tool of recovery, and all the damage done on your bones, joints, ligaments, brain cells, organs, freaking hormonal system, respiratory system is repaired. But it's not just about the sleep, it's about the quality of the sleep. So there's the concept of the 10-3-3-2-1 rule, which is 10 hours before dead time, no caffeine, 3 hours before bed, wind down from like stressful work-related activities, 2 hours before bed, avoid blue screens, and 1 hour before bed, like be mindful, prep, breath work, whatever you gotta do, and zero will be zero times you press the snooze button. So it's really like the quality of my sleep, being in a dark room, avoiding blue light before you go to bed, avoiding stressful activities before you go to bed, avoiding stressful activities right when you wake up in the morning. Because if the second I pop out of bed, I pop open my Instagram and it's like, hey, Shirley didn't comment on my post, I feel like a loser now. You're waking up to exactly what Instagram wants you to think. Oh no, someone didn't like my post, so now I have to make another post to get more validation and positive encouragement from the world. Or alternatively, I posted my podcast with Erica, and hey, 1,000 people saw it. So now I'm getting all this, like, it's not fake validation. It's a genuine thing to have followers and people interested in my content.
Mhm.
But I'm getting this validation that my body starts getting hooked upon. So it's like I wake up, oh, Instagram, oh, Facebook, oh, Pinterest, oh, Twitter, oh, Snapchat. Try to ditch your phone. I'm not even talking about before, but try to ditch your phone right when you wake up for like an
Mm.
hour, and then do your routines, breathing, coffee, whatever you got to do, and wait an hour or two to check your emails. Let your body first wake up and get some sunshine, feel fully alive before you give it any sort of dopamine and serotonin kick, so your body can get used to waking up and enjoying the sunrise. I think we live in an age where people, this is also a little bit off topic. I'm sorry, I'll go back into sleep in a second. But we live in an age where our dopamine and serotonin are so triggered constantly from like fake validation from social media on various platforms
Mhm.
that we don't know how to appreciate the little things anymore, like the sunrise, the sunset, the pretty, beautiful flowers I have on my porch, how beautiful our spouses are, how beautiful our kids are, our neighbors, how grateful we are to live right near the beach, right, Florida, or alligator, however beautiful the alligator is. Like, if we lived, so back to sleep, I'm tangenting again. It's not just the amount of sleep, it's the quality of the sleep. And if I can't get enough sleep, then take a nap. A high quality nap anywhere between 20 to 90 minutes is equal to night's sleep. So if you're getting 6, 7 hours, it's not enough. Take a nap in the afternoon, and that's a recovery session. That's not a passive recovery session. That's an active recovery session. So stop compressing and stop icing and go to sleep.
Thank you for that. We constantly remind everyone who's listening, go to bed, slapping on a bag of ice. Okay, maybe you'll numb yourself a little bit to the pain and the soreness, but it's not going to solve what's going on on the inside with your hormones, your muscle repair, your joints. It's your brain repair as well. It's just it's just frustrating people still want that quick solution. And I think the theme of this conversation has been, look, recovery is 7 days a week, 24 hours a day, 365 days a year. And there's no easy way around it. And you're going to have to make a plethora of sacrifices, but it's so worth it. It's worth it to be disciplined and to deal with the pain of discipline than to deal with the pain of regretting, oh, well, I should have prepared my meals for the week. I'm so tired and bogged down for game time. Or, I should have gone to bed early. And then you're just like frustrated at yourself. And then it comes back to the confidence thing. Then you're not as confident and then you beat yourself up. It's like, look, be disciplined on the front end, take care of yourself year round, and you're going to just reap the benefits over and over again. And you're going to feel more at an equilibrium year round. And you're not going to be calling me and Sean as coaches, hey, coach, do you have like a quick stretch I can do? No, I don't. I really don't. I'm sorry. Like,
It's
anything
funny.
else, Sean, as we wrap up?
Yeah,
I'm
absolutely.
preaching.
So got it. Yeah. So quality of sleep is important, but I think it's also when you sleep well and properly, you're gonna have more quality hours throughout the day. If I'm a zombie my whole day because I stayed up late watching the soccer game, even if it's something that's positive for my sport, you're not going to be able to function properly. So if you sleep properly, even if that means you have less hours in the day because you're focusing on prioritizing your sleep, you're gonna have that ability to function and give the hours in the day your very best. Can I give our athletes a little bit of a checklist of things that they can do to improve their recovery? Yeah, we have a
Absolutely.
few more minutes.
Yeah.
Sababa. Okay. So first of all, so we spoke about real food, we spoke about nutrition. I do want to address daily maintenance. Daily maintenance is every day you're doing some mobility work. Mobility work is not your strength session. It's not your yoga session. It's moving your body in a full range of motion. That could be specific to areas that are very tight for you. So if you're always having adductor stiffness and hip flexor stiffness and your butt's hurting a lot, you can focus in those areas. If you're not dealing with particular pain, 7 to 10 minute just daily mobility routine,
Mhm.
active stretching, dynamic and a full range of motion. So if an athlete asks me for that quick stretch, I won't send them a 10-second stretch that will magically, check off, ooh, chocolate milk. That will
I just
magically
poured it
check
in my
off leading by
coffee. I was like,
example.
oh, I have a good idea.
Yum. Leading by example. That sounds delicious. I won't give him a 10-second stretch. I'll say to him, here's a 7-minute mobility routine from my YouTube channel, and I want you to do it every day. So I'm setting him or her up for success instead of saying this passive stretch won't work. those are my 3 pillars. So it's similar to Erica's 7 pillars. We got real food, nutrition, quality sleep, and daily maintenance. Food versus supplementation, always real food if possible. Remove negative aspects of your life. So like less social media, less sitting, less shoes, less Bluetooth, less Wi-Fi. If your phone's in your pocket, put it on airplane mode. Okay, even if it's hocus pocus and hooga booga, these are things that why not? If I'm not using my phone, I may as well put it on airplane mode. Do we have time to dive into like cold, hot contrast stuff?
Not today, but I was actually thinking because we didn't even touch on breathing properly. So
Breath work, it's on my list.
maybe next time we can do the breath work and then the other modalities that you speak of, but because that could be like another hour. I wanted to keep
8.
Oh, go ahead.
Sorry. I have 10 more pillars, which we're going to be like a quick minute of recovery tips. But if you want to call it a day and move on in life, all's chill.
Why don't you just read them off and then we'll save them for next time and we'll do a deep dive. So go ahead.
Sounds fair. Fantastic. Okay, so we got hot cold contrast. I'm not talking about cold, just pop an ice pack on it. I'm talking about using cold therapy on recovery days. So not right after your strength session, but get hot shower, cold shower contrast, or sauna followed by ice bath. We'll dive into that. If you want to look more on it, you can look on my page and I speak about it all the time. Compression clothing, super useful, especially for athletes that are flying. Okay, if you're traveling internationally or traveling on long train rides, long car rides, before the game, after the game, compression socks, compression shirts, compression leggings does help with blood circulation. Movement mobility, we spoke about daily maintenance, foam rolling, soft tissue work. Taking your cleats off, okay? The barefoot athlete, there's a reason why that's my Instagram handle. Freeing your feet, okay? Your feet are smushed in your cleats. Take your cleats off, let your feet splay. Just where the less time your feet are in smushed footwear, the better for your feet. Vibration therapy, like massage gunning, is also good. Infrared is great. Magnets, some people sleep with magnets. It hasn't been researched so much, so I won't dive so much in there. Breathwork is humongous. Parasympathetic, sympathetic state. Inversion is cool. Now, you don't need a fancy trapeze thing to do this. You just come home from your session, sit on the floor, and put your legs up against the wall. So if I'm like lying down, my legs will be right here. And while your legs are up, you just can add some breath work in it for bonus points. A little bit of brain stuff. So let's say I'm feeling very, very sore and I don't feel ready to do a session. I can do things like juggling or do things like coloring or art just to like still keep my brain active on those days. Prayer, purpose, spiritual fulfillment, having a higher power, sunshine, love, family, laughter, the end.
Oh, I love those. And yeah. Oh, go ahead.
And you spoke about this in your post today, and concentric loading. Like just because I'm very sore, I can still, you said in your post, battle ropes, power stuff, balls, I can still push a sled, I can still pull a sled. I can still load my body on an active recovery day without loading my body in a negative aspect. I'm actually improving my performance and recovering better. So the more training I can do in a moderate state, the better. And coaches, on you to program that. If you're using an app, don't program off day, training day, off day, training day. Program, here's some mobility and stuff you can do. Here's some breath work, strength day. Here's some sunshine, barefoot walking you can do, strength day. Spend time with I literally have my program, spend time with your loved ones. And it shows me walking with my wife and my dog and the Frisbee. Like, this is important too.
I love that. I had walk on there and nasal breathing on there as well. It's like just put it on there because otherwise they're not going to do it. But I love that. Yep. I might steal that. Just go walk outside, get barefoot. People just
I'll
need
send you
to
a screenshot of it.
Yeah, yeah. And everyone just needs to be reminded. And again, like all these things Sean listed, they're daily practices, they're daily habits, just like brushing your teeth and taking a shower. Just slowly begin to incorporate them, and then they're just going to become second nature to you. It's not rocket science. A lot of this stuff is free, which is great. So what better reason to start now? And Sean, I really appreciated you coming on today and just clarifying what we mean by recovery and how it's just a relentless pursuit of just the habits that you implement day in and day out. So guys, if you love this episode and you want to see Sean come back on to discuss the rest of recovery, I know we got breathing on there. That's a big one for both of us. Please like the video if you want Sean to come back and you were impacted by this conversation. So Sean, thank you again. I'm going to include your Instagram in the caption below. Is there anything else you want me to include?
So I just launched my barefoot transition course, which is helping people free their feet and strengthen them. So I'll send you the link for that, and you can pop it below as well. It's an online 6-week
Perfect.
guided course.
Awesome. That sounds fantastic. So, guys, please check out the caption below with Sean's links. And we hope you enjoyed the episode on recovery. And I'll see you guys next time.